Hey everybody, welcome back to Lionheart Radio, episode 124 with Mark Crandall. He is an author, a speaker, and a coach, and we get in a really cool conversation about the state of the personal development and transformation industry and sort of what it is that drives him. And I really enjoyed this conversation because a lot of you that have listened to the Lionheart Radio channel for a while, specifically the morning coffee episodes, know that I really spend a lot of time looking for a unique angle, because I do believe that a lot of the motivational space is just, well, quite frankly, unhelpful. And so right out of the gate, I get into it and we just talk about what's going on with the motivational space and some of the downfalls and why it doesn't always work for people. And then, we get into a little bit of his story and what pushes him. And it's a pretty wild story. So I really enjoyed recording this one. So I hope that you guys enjoy listening to it. Without further ado, on to the show. Personal development space and the motivation space and all that, we're at a point right now where it seems to be pretty trendy and where there's a very low barrier to entry. So anybody can post a meme on Instagram or Facebook and just profess to know the way, right? And so my question for you is, I think just right out of the gates, like, what makes you want to get into such a crowded space? And I guess the second part of that question is, what keeps you motivated to want to stay there and keep working through it?
That is, in all the interviews that I've done, is probably one of the best questions that I've been handed as an opener.
Awesome.
It is a really crowded space. It's a space that I've been in for a number of years now, and it's frustrating. I could ask you the same exact question, right? It's really frustrating to see the individuals that blow up and become deemed in society's eyes as thought leaders, and that's why I keep going. I entered in that because I have something tangible to offer the human race. And I not only have the insights and perspectives to share with the world, I also have the experience of living the insights and perspectives that I'm sharing with the world. And I think that's one of the biggest things that keeps me up at night. And after talking to you, I know it keeps you up as well. That makes me want to create more content, more impactful message to kind of cut through some of this trashy noise that's out there. Cause it's just disgusting. It's one of the greatest questions I've had. You actually knocked me back on my heels. I'm excited for where this is going to go with that opener.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is, man, is I look at the sort of current situation, and one, I think that industry wouldn't be getting bigger. It would be getting smaller if we were doing our job correctly, right? Because people would need it less. But I think a large part of the problem, and the reason I open with that, is because talking to you and your history and your story, when we look at the current state of this personal development, self-help, motivation industry, whatever you want to call it, so many people are simply reposting. They're just reading what other people are doing, and then they're just trying to regurgitate, and they haven't lived through it. That's one of the things that makes me want to continue to push this message that I have, is that I really found myself in these really difficult times, and I had to figure out a way out. And if I could get anybody else to not go through those times, well, then that's something I would do. And so I think that was my reason for wanting to open with that, is because I know you have a varied past, we'll call it. And so I know that the reason that you're doing this is because you were kind of thrust into bad times where you needed it yourself.
Yeah, man, I was. And, man, I'm excited for this conversation that we're about to have, because we just kind of laid a real solid foundation, and I'm still stuck on the question that you asked, and the second part of that question, and what keeps me going. And it's, when we had our conversation last week and we were talking, and, we had to hard stop the conversation because I don't know if we would have ever got off the call, but the intro or the question got asked, what content are you consuming? And people are so surprised when I tell them none. I engage in a meditation practice. If I read anything, it's right here, man. One of the greatest books ever written, the greatest thought leader, in my opinion, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. So many individuals have ripped this man's work off, and he wrote this way back in the day, so I'm like early thought leaders, not, the thing that drives me nuts are these lifestyle entrepreneurs, these thought leaders that are selling the lifestyle and the glamour of it and really taking away from what it is that you and I are up to. And I see you smirking. So there's something there for you to say.
Well, it's like, yeah, because I see it all the time too, that lifestyle entrepreneurs become really popular, and the lifestyle of an entrepreneur is anything but that. It's anything but glamorous. It's awesome. Like if one of your intrinsic values is freedom, you can't go wrong. You can't beat it. But at the same time, like the grind and the hustle and the uncertainty and the growth that it requires, like these are not things that I think should be sold to everybody, because it's just not that way.
No, I've been up since 5 a.m. and I went and did my CrossFit workout and literally ran into the house to get started on a new course that I'm launching, you know what I mean? And haven't stopped. Like I emailed you a little bit ago because we had the time translation issue, but like I haven't stopped. And it's not a bad thing. It's exciting, and I've become addicted to cutting through the noise and trying to get, have myself heard amongst a lot of this BS that's out there. Because my message is powerful. Like I do have a backing story.
Yeah. So let's get into that story a little bit before we get further down this industry path. Like when you, what was the catalyst for you that really got you wanting to pursue this in the first place?
Yeah, for the sake of, sticker shocking your audience, I guess I'll just, get right into it. Yeah. I mean, I was taken by DCYF at the age of 3, placed in foster care. When I showed up in my foster parents' house, I had cigarette burns, clothes that didn't fit. The woe is me childhood was, what I had, and my bio parents were in and out of my life. There was a lot of abuse and neglect and lies, and whatever happened to me, I was just this insane little monster that was setting fires and killing animals. And I was just absolutely out of control. I hated everyone around me as a youth. And, it led to drug addiction, violence. I was talking to you on our call, like I was, all set to go into the Marine Corps, which is something I had wanted to do since I was little. And my recruiter said, I just need you to pass a P test to get in. And I just couldn't do it. He brought me out to lunch like 4 times. He's like, Mark, you're good to go. I'm like, I just couldn't do it. And, a path of darkness and self-hatred led to, multiple years of drug addiction, criminal activity. And the moment that you're referring to was in August of 2007. And I was about to be released for the umpteenth time from prison, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was just, I had this epiphany of like everything everyone had ever said to me about how great I was destined to be. And it just all hit me. And there I was, like a couple weeks away from going to this treatment facility for my drug addiction and alcoholism. And I couldn't stay sober. I mean, I used the whole time that I was incarcerated, and it was just like, what am I doing? Like kind of like what you said, you went through all that stuff, and your stuff was different, but the internal dialogue is the same, right? It's very similar. Like, why am I doing this? Like, what are you doing with your life? Or like, why was this done to me? And that was the moment. And I went to this treatment facility, and I just started seeking and getting my hands on everything. And, the turnaround to that is, the prisons that I was in, New Hampshire State Prison, mandated that you get your GED before they would release you. And, I share, when I'm on stages now, I share that, I owe my life to the New Hampshire State Prison system. Had they not mandated me to get that GED, I would have never obtained the master's degree that I now have, the 2 licenses that I have, and umpteen certifications, which in the realm of life coaching and means absolutely nothing. But I wouldn't have shot out on this path of transformation as I did without that GED. So that was the moment. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're about to go back out into society and burn your life to the ground again.
Yeah. It's great. There's so much we can unpack from that, but it's wild because, this is one of the things I've really noticed is that the human psyche, it really works on momentum. And so, but that momentum can work against you just as much as it can work for you. A lot of people notice this, even if they start doing something subtle like eating right, and then you just want to continue to eat right, and then you want to go to the gym, and then you want to, it sort of all snowballs. But when you get these sort of like negative perpetuating thoughts in your head about what you're capable of and who you are, it seems that momentum works that way too. And so just there almost has to be sometimes a rock bottom moment, it seems like to me, and I'm just thinking through this as we're talking about it, but it almost seems like there has to be a rock bottom moment to ask yourself, like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Because there has to be that sort of, something has to happen to pull you from that cycle, it seems like.
Yeah, it was literally the first. Our society is just, and we're going to go deep in this. I like it. And I can swear?
Yeah. Not CNN.
Oh, okay.
Do what you want.
Yeah. Awesome. So our society has just been molded and ingrained to play the victim. Right. And so, oh, this happened to me. Oh, that happened to me. And I had one of my first coaches ever. His name was Rob. And he goes, what did he say? Mark, I'm out of tissues. It's time for you to grow up. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, how much longer are you going to live your life and base your future off of the circumstances of your past? And it just like smacked me. It was like, oh, and like what you said, where you were going back and looking over it, it was like everything hit me. Like, every decision that I was currently making in my life was based off of a story that I had created about my past. And that's what I was living. I was just living this victim mentality of all of these things happened to me, and I push people away because I've been hurt so much. And like, it was just like 20 some odd years of story that I had built up to justify my shitbag actions. You know what I mean? And I just was on a quest of introspective work to just really strip away all these belief systems that were preventing me from being the unstoppable human being that I am today.
Yeah. And so this is something that really interests me when you think about back to your time of being in this sort of negative perpetuating cycle. Has your mindset shifted? Do you feel like you're someone else? Do you feel like you're the same person? Like, what did that look like when you decided to stop? I understand, like, so I could tell you right now, stop looking at your past. You need to look forward. Only thing that's going to matter for the rest of your life is what you do with it and what you build now. Did you have that inclination, or did you really, really turn your shit around, like your belief system and the whole deal? Because I'm sort of curious as to whether I think that can actually happen for people or not, or whether they have to have that intrinsic.
It can happen. It happened for me at a workshop. Like, Rob had planted the seeds. I had done a bunch of work around it. I've had some really straightforward, good coaches, in my time here, in this, since 2007, when I entered the realm of transformation. But it was a process in this workshop of really evaluating the story that I had placed. Right. So I'll give you an example. So I was handcuffed and locked in a closet, my first visit to my biological mom's at Christmas. I had built up this just massive story about that situation and added on a whole bunch of lies and just like embellishments around what had happened. And it just grew into this creature when you break it down, like, she placed handcuffs on me and put me in the closet. That's all that happened. But in my mind, I was unlovable. I was destined for abuse the rest of my life. I'll never get what I want. I need to take everything that I want. I'm never going to have a meaningful relationship with a woman because, look, I just get thrown away, and on and on and on. So the workshop that I attended, which I would say most people just aren't built for unless you hit the place of like, enough, like, I'm done living this. And no, I'm not that human anymore. Like I'm not, but at the same time, I could resort back to that. Like I'm not immune.
Right.
I just choose to surround myself with individuals that don't allow me to live in that place.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like this continual choice, right? You have to continually choose this life for yourself. It's not like it just now you're this person and now you don't ever have to worry about any of that shit again. It's like you're still the same human. You're choosing a different path now.
Yeah, and I knew it as soon as I got on the phone or as soon as I got on that call with you. I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be good because you know that it's not a one and done.
Right.
Right. So I think about it all the time. It's so funny because I do some work at a CrossFit gym, and you get the athletes that come in. It's fading out now that the shine is wearing off, right? But you get athletes that come in and be like, oh, I want to be like Rich, or I want to be like Camille, and I laugh every time, right? And so that, like, what does it take to make it to regionals? Is a very common question. Well, you should quit your job and get out of your whatever relationship that you're in, right? And do you have a life savings? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, get it ready to access. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, they've been training every day, 4 to 5 times a day for umpteen years to get there.
Yeah.
Right. And so people think that, like, coaching, or if I attend this, if I go see Tony Robbins, I'm going to come back, just on fire. You are going to come back on fire. Right. But just like any fire, if you don't stoke that thing and throw logs on it, you're going to be a shit show in a fucking week.
Yeah, dude, that's a really good point. And that's something you brought up in your story there, is you talked about this idea that, you kind of got floored by what he said, but it was really a seed that got planted. And then that just takes time, right? Like sometimes we just, that's one of the things I've realized about this process of trying to figure out who you really are and what you really want is, it is a process. It's not like I can tell you something, and even if it's paradigm shifting, it's not going to change your life right there. It's got to be planted. You've got to like mull it over psychologically and think about it and start working through that same story in your head about how this new thing matches up to that. Like, well, what if I went down this path, and what if this were the answer? And so I just think that's a really good point that you bring up there. It's like this process of trying to become a better human being is like something you have to pick every single day and work toward every single day.
Well, you don't have to, right?
Well, yeah. Okay. That's a good point.
It's the I chose this, man. And I know you did as well, right? Like I chose this. I want more. Why do I do transformational work? Why do I go to seminars? Why do I work out? Why do I eat right? Why do I hire coaches? 'Cause it feels fucking good.
Yeah.
The more I do, the better I feel. Why do I work 16 hours? 'Cause it feels good, right? Like living a hollow life of mediocrity is just not appealing to me. Like it just makes me sick to my stomach. Like I've been given so many second chances in this life that I'm riding this thing until the wheels fall off, and then I'm going to duct tape them back on and see how many more miles I can get.
Yeah.
Like we talked about this on our last call. There's only one thing that scares me: being on my deathbed and having regret, knowing that I didn't do something in this life that I easily could have done.
Yeah. So I share a very similar, thought process and outlook on life. I would much rather fail. Not that I want to fail. Well, in some situations I do, but I would much rather fail than to not go for it and to just have that sort of eat away at me for years and years. 'Cause I've done that before. I've shut that voice out that would rather be doing something else with somebody else somewhere else. And I'm just no longer, willing to ignore that sort of call to adventure that we all have. But my question for you is, what about the tons of people, tens of thousands of people that are going to listen to this and say that is true, but I have bills to pay. Like I have a life, I have responsibilities. I can't just pursue this, whatever life I want. Like what do you say to them?
Yeah. So, I mean, what do I say? That's a great question. What do I say to them? I mean, I'm living, I've placed myself in a position. I've done the work to get, 2 licenses to practice therapy. So I'm a pretty sought after coach and therapist. And because I feed people straight and I want to see them get well, And, I've written one book. I'm almost done my second one. And I have like you, I have three more that are in my head that I just need to get out.
Yeah.
And so I'm never going to stop creating. And so here's what I've found in the realm of transformation is if you are in the flow of the universe in what you believe and what the universe believes that your purpose is here on earth, you will be provided for. Right. And so I wanted to say something to you. I don't believe that there's such thing as failure. Right. And it's on the back of my business cards. Failure is a word reserved by those that quit. Like there's no such thing as failure. Right. So I wrote a book the first time, launched it. I wanted to be a New York Times bestseller. It didn't happen.
Right.
Then I did research and found out how many thousands of copies you had to sell in the first week. And so now I'm gearing up for another launch. Maybe it doesn't happen, but I tell you what, I'm not going to quit.
Right.
There's no failure unless I quit. So yeah, I mean, I do very well. I mean, I do keynote talks. I write books. I have a course. I have, group coaching, individual coaching, and it's an industry that's not going to die. I believe that I am a therapist, so I might take shots if there are other therapists that listen I believe that the days of traditional therapy are done. I believe the idea of coming to my office to talk about your problems, and if you get well, that I no longer have a client, are done. And that's why I get out of practicing traditional therapy. I want my clients to get well, get on their feet and be kicking ass at life as quick as possible. Like you're paying me a good fee to do that. And you're a reflection of like the transformation and breakthroughs that I can produce. So I want you out there. Right. And I just, I spent almost 7 years practicing traditional therapy where it was come in every week and we talk about the same problem. And, I have to use the therapeutic models and like we get, the idea behind the insurance industry and the whole industry as a whole is just to keep you sick. And so I stepped out and walked into a great deal of fear and could just continue to samurai everything that comes my way.
Right. Yeah. I think that's, that's super interesting. Like I think that therapy model is a reflection of Western culture, which is we treat symptoms. We don't proactively do shit really in this culture. And so, you are, I think, just picking up on that. That's like one thing I've noticed because I'm looking at the psychology path myself, but it's like, everybody, like we stigmatize therapists because we act like it's a symptom thing. Same thing with life coaches, same thing with, even when I hear the word life coach, I have this sort of visceral reaction to it where I'm just like, oh God, I don't, because it is flooded with so much bullshit.
That's why I call myself a transformational coach. I won't do it.
Yeah.
And like it, my SEO like is lower than it should be because I don't use life coach, but I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah. Well, because it's got these connotations of, one, there's some just fucking crazy stuff out there like life coaches because, like we said, there's a low barrier to entry and it's sort of trendy and in vogue right now. And then there's the other problem with therapy, which is like we're just treating symptoms. Like, oh, you have a problem, you have like PTSD that you couldn't get through. Okay, then you need to come talk. But the reality is that we all are walking around every day with all of this shit sort of bouncing around in our heads and we don't have like a focus for our ambition. And so, I think just to your point, it's like, it's got to be this thing that you just choose every day and you continue to come back and you continue to feed. Otherwise that fire will go out. And then, as the anxiety will build, eventually it'll come to the surface and then you'll be like, oh, I got to go to a therapist again. And it's like, I love this idea of just proactively treating it just like you would your health, like in the gym or anything else.
Yeah. And it for the sake of being authentic and vulnerable with you and your audience, like I went through it today. The marketer that I hired is not doing the job that he's supposed to be doing. We lost about 70 leads, because they weren't getting login information. And I went to the place. I was like, what am I doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, what is it that you're doing? Like, and like, it was frustration that it built. And, I went and I was like, no, I got to get away from my laptop. I'm going to lose it today. I'm going to probably snap my MacBook. Like I went, hit the heavy bag, went and did a float session, came home, got on the phone with one of my mentors, and I was reminded. I forgot. It's like, Mark, this isn't about you. This isn't about you. This is for all of the hearts that you've yet to touch, all of the men and women who you are going to impact their lives that are contemplating ending it, that don't see another way out. And that's what it's about. That's why I try to keep my spirit fed and do all the work the introspective work that I do, and keep my body and my mind right, because it's not about me. I mean, you just told me that you started another coaching program, or launched a coaching program off your curriculum. You don't do that. Men like us don't do that because the dollar signs are going to pile up.
Right.
And right? Because funny. The frustration to get there is not worth it when you do.
Yeah. No, it's 100%. I could go down that road for a very long time, but I've noticed in my own mind, when I start getting frustrated or things aren't working out, it's because I've fucked up the value proposition in my head, and I've started thinking about myself and not the people that I'm serving and doing this for. And so to your point, just this thought I had while you were talking is like, man, imagine what the world would be like if everybody approached their job like that. Even if they're not a transformational coach, right? Like this idea that I'm not doing this for me. But we get so, we have this ego that is a scared little kid inside of us. And so it always wants to make sure it's fed. But imagine what the world would look like if everybody sort of realized that they had a unique gift to give, and that they were living their day every day in order to give that to people. I feel like the world would look much different.
We wouldn't even recognize the world. Right. And it's basic psychology that's been around for ages. I mean, you look at Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? The whole book is the psychology behind it is people don't give a shit about you until you show that you give a shit about them.
Yep.
Yeah. And because you have this podcast and you have a following, and you're doing big things. You've had people hit you up to be like, hey, can I get on your podcast? I'm trying to promote my book. Dude, that's not how you do it, bro.
All the time.
Bring value to me. I want to bring value to you. If we had a world that operated like that, man, it would be such a beautiful place to live.
Yeah,
it would just be like everyone would be on top, because we would all be succeeding at whatever our definition of success was.
Right. And to your point, look at what you just said. I mean, it changed your day literally just today.
I lose track all the time.
Yeah. One of the things you keep bringing up, which I really enjoy, is this idea that you sort of look to the past. Like you look to these people that had these insights a very long time ago, like How to Win Friends and Influence People, and As a Man Thinketh, that book that you just pulled up. One of the things that's interesting to me is, I'm working through this. This is another thought that I've not really ironed out, but this idea that a lot of the motivation industry, there's a lot of bullshit out there, but the stuff that's not bullshit is essentially just this ancient wisdom. Like the Stoics were saying the same shit, back in the 1500s, the Greco-Romans were saying the same shit. This is a truth about the human race. And so the closer you get to that sort of ancient wisdom, I don't know, the better off you be. I think we have a propensity, because it's 2018, we think anybody that came before us wouldn't know, right? So we ignore shit like the biblical stories and the archetypes and the mythology and all of these things, when the reality is it seems like there's a lot there that could help us now. And it seems like that's what you tap into.
Yeah, I literally have goosebumps when you said that. Yeah. And I'm going to drop something for your audience that I don't get to share that often.
Yeah.
That motivation's bullshit. Lack of motivation is bullshit. You don't lack motivation. I don't care what anyone says to you. I
agree, but I want to know why you think that.
Because if you lacked motivation, you wouldn't start 1,000 fucking things.
Right.
What do you actually lack? I had been told for years I lacked motivation, but yet I had 100 unfinished projects. I had 3 books that I had started, 10 courses that I had started writing.
Yeah.
What do I actually lack? I lack the mindset to follow through with the actions that are needed to succeed. Right? I don't believe that anyone lacks motivation, and we're selling motivation in this magic pill in society. And it's people go home, swallow it, get high for a day, and then they find that they're right back to where they were before, because they haven't fixed their mindset.
Right.
right? They don't believe in their abilities to follow through on the actions because they're like what we just talked about. The one thing that stops me is projecting to outcomes. I'm having an amazing day when I'm just enjoying the journey and I don't have outcomes in mind. Am I going to sell 150 seats at that, at the event that we're doing in February? Is it going to happen? What's my pitch going to look like on stage? How am I going to move them, get them just fired up, and then get them to, take some tangible actions after they leave? Right. But most people are like, how can I rah? I've been to 2 Tony Robbins UPWs in the past 6 months. Great events. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that are like fired up the week after. And then they're like, I don't know what to do. Like, I got to go to another Tony event. I'm like, no, but they just don't get it. Why? What's your belief?
Well, I think, so a few different things. The first part is I agree with you. I think that what happens is we sort of have this date with destiny where we're like, that's the path. That's what I want to do. But that path requires work. And what we do is we start looking for another date with destiny instead of just doing the fucking work that we know we have to do in order to get where we need to go. So that's like one thing I think happens. And the other thing I think happens, if you're not motivated, if you're not disciplined, I'm not going to be able to make you. I don't think you're going to be able to make anybody else. Like, it's such an intrinsic thing. And because it's so intrinsic, I think that you have to have an authentic path. Like, if you are living out your values and something, not what you should do, not what your parents said you should do, not what society would look good, not what your ego wants. Like, if you chose to do the thing that you wanted to do in this world, I think that motivation and discipline and all these other things, they sort of just come as a byproduct.
Yeah. And you say that, man. And it's funny because I've turned down more coaching clients that have approached me to show them how to build a coaching business. Cause I've done it. I mean, I've done, I've built successful coaching businesses 4 times for myself. And I'll ask them one question, like, why do you want to do it? I want to help people. Don't have the time to help you, man. There's not an amount of money that you can pay me to do that. And they'll be like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, this isn't like, I woke up one morning. It's like, oh, I want to be a life coach, or I want to inspire people or help people, which I also think is shit. I don't think anyone needs help, but and it's like, I can't, and they'll be like, why? But you've been so successful. I'm like, this isn't a job for me. This is my calling in life. You don't understand. Like, you could literally throw anything life has at me and I will climb over it and get to the other side. I might be banged up when I get there, but I'm coming.
Right.
And they're like, well, why can't you show me that? I'm like, it's based off of why you want to do it. There's nothing that I can show you how to do. It's a mindset thing. Like, you're not going to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that's something I've started to notice myself is like, I think that's how you're doing the right thing in the world. It's like when you do that thing and it's out in it and it happens outside of validation and you still have that feeling of being fulfilled, like you're doing something meaningful. Because I'll do that. I'll bang out 5,000 words on my keyboard in a day. There's nobody around to be like, good job, man. Like, you killed it back there. Like, I fucking don't even know anybody in Australia. You know what I mean? Like, I just will be at a coffee shop. I'll bang out 5,000 words. It'll be like 5 o'clock. And I'm like, I did. Fuck yeah. Like, another day. Like, it feels like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And none of the validation matters. I don't post about it all the time. It just is something. So I think we have to sort of gravitate toward those things. And then the motivation to actually do what you have to do at least will be easier to access.
Totally. It's a daily quest to overcome the limiting beliefs of your mind and to go off of something that you said earlier. Yeah, I'm obsessed with studying early thought leaders, whether that's the Bible or Native American teachings, or like I've dropped 2 early thought leaders. I don't want to just drop a whole bunch on your podcast, but yeah, early thought leaders. And so now people are coming out with like the Secret. The movie The Secret, right? Dude, that is so before Christ. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, but they're just recycling and regurgitating these messages, and it's just
interesting. Hold on. So you're saying The Secret, like the narrative in The Secret, is like Old Testament?
Yeah, I mean, it's basic positive psychology.
Like so self-fulfilling prophecy type.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The secret is like literally visualize and become. Abraham Hicks, like that whole,
Right.
the abundance mindset. Like I could drop just countless books, but like it's all like the key to everything is if you believe in yourself, you will accomplish.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I mean,
But that's not, you can't go to Walmart and buy a believe in myself kit and show up and just succeed, right?
Right, and that's the problem, right? That's the problem. Like, you can't watch The Secret and think that you're good to go because all you did was watch a movie, and the world, it doesn't work. I feel like they simplify it, first of all. It's not this, like, I want this, so I'll get it kind of thing. Like, there's a lot of deep work that has to take place to even make sure it's something you actually want, first of all, because a lot of people are setting the wrong intentions. But I think all of that aside, it's like, it's just not a simple process. And so I think we're kind of selling people a bag of goods by telling them, all you got to do is want this thing and you'll get it, because there's a lot of deep work that has to take place in order to get there.
There's tears, there's,
frustration.
Frustration, anger. Like, there's a lot. There's a lot there to become in tune with yourself.
Right. But I will say too, like on the other side of that, if I think probably people listening to this have this idea of like, when you say something like The Secret or self-fulfilling prophecy, they probably like have this, just want to be like, okay, that's bullshit. Which is like, I get it, but there's actually a really big body of research around self-fulfilling prophecies and whether you can actually affect your behavior based on a preconceived notion. And it's overwhelmingly positive that you can. And so, I
have more experiences than we could talk about in the remainder of your podcast surrounding it. Like things that, I'll give one example right now. Like I have, multiple felony convictions on my record for burglary and was hired by the state of New Hampshire to work in a youth detention center for the state. Never happened before. I believed that it was possible. I went through the application process, crushed the interview, got the job. Everyone knew I was a felon. The papers found out that I was a felon working at this institution, printed an article. I still believed in who I was, not who I used to be, and stayed there for 6 more months working. And I was going to leave because I didn't like the job. But after that article got printed, I was like, I can't do that. I have more integrity than that. I'm not going to make them believe that I just, I backed out because. So yeah, it is like, if you believe in yourself, there's nothing that you can't do. And another thing that I would say is I'm not shitting on any of those collections of work. I just want to really reiterate or hammer home that I take all of this stuff in and apply it, as much of it as I possibly can, into my life every single day. Like you're talking about, like every day I'm up against myself and up against the world, trying to become becoming a better person.
Yeah, that's a really interesting, that actually is a good segue into what I was going to ask next, which is like, are there any practices or, because I think so many people do what you described and they go to a conference or listen to a podcast or read a book and they get motivated for about 2 seconds and then life just sort of piles back on top of them and they find themselves in the same spot. Are there any habits or tools or things that you lean on specifically to keep yourself, mantras, like I don't even know, like whatever your process is there anything you do in order to keep yourself going down the right path?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, name drop or pitch somebody else's work, but yeah, I have a morning practice that I do, which includes meditation, affirmations, visualization. And so I would say one of the greatest things for me is a meditation practice called metta, which is loving kindness. It's a Buddhist practice. It's about self-love and forgiveness. And I've modified that a great deal into like self-belief and self-worth. And I just visualize, man. I have some big visualizations that I'm working on right now. Like I crewed Tony Robbins' last event in New Jersey and engaged in the visualization process the entire weekend, where I was visualizing myself on that stage. I wouldn't have sold that product the way he did. He made it like meaningless the way that he did that. I could have done this when he was doing that. Like I could have added more, and just really placing myself, because most of the time I'm just like, man, I'm not as far as Rick. Like, why am I not that far? Right. Like, he's better than me or whatever. Like, I'm better than him or whatever. It's like the two sides of the ego, fuck you or fuck me. Right. They can't live in the same place versus, man, if, Tony can do it, why I can as well. Right. So the visualization process is all about manifesting your future. And I love the Abraham Hicks work, like the law of attraction stuff. I believe in it wholeheartedly. I've gone, I'm a big fan of seeing what drops and then kind of doing the research to find out where the teachings came from. And so I've done that. And I love visualization, the abundance mindset, like, and it's people are like, well, yeah, if I believe I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm going to wake up and be a millionaire. No. But if you believe that you're a millionaire and you believe that every day in a devoted practice, you're going to see the steps to take towards that path quicker than you are if you're focused on the bills that you have and how you're so in debt.
Right. And
that's what they're saying.
And that's where the magic is, right? And that's the problem, like that we talked a little bit about. The secret is it's not this, you just say it and it happens. There's like actual psychological, like known psychological processes that are happening, like the Pygmalion effect, where, you buy a new car and all of a sudden you see that car. It's the same idea. When you visualize something, you are going to inherently see paths and opportunities that are there that did not used to be, or they were always there, but you didn't see them because you were not clued into it, because your subconscious was totally thinking about doing something else, like surviving and not going down this path that you directed it.
Totally. Yeah. It's not I love transformation and just the work that I do and the work that I participate in. And, honestly, there's some days where I sit and reflect on, just going into a cave, and go to Tibet and just go kick it and get rid of my possessions and just become really enlightened. But to me, that's selfish because I have such a loud message to carry to those that are living a victim mentality.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is a struggle, right? When you get into this stuff, you sort of want to live out your higher self's intentions all the time. But if you were to do that, you wouldn't be as effective in the world. So you have to like leverage some of these things, like the ego and the need for success. Like there are ways to leverage things like that in order to do what you want to do in the world, which sounds like exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's cool. So the final question, the question I ask every single guest, if you could give blanket advice, it would be translated to every language. It would guarantee everybody in the world would hear it. They might not all follow it, but they would hear what you said. What would you tell people?
Oh, and I got stumped on it. It's probably the quote that it is the quote that I already dropped. And that is that failure is a word reserved by those that quit. Like there's no such thing as failure if you just try another way. Like anything is possible. It may not be possible based off of the direction that you see. But if you don't succeed and you go back and regroup and try again and you keep doing that, you're eventually going to get there. And it's not even about getting there. I've built myself up into the unstoppable human being that I am today because I've hit my head off the wall so many times and learned every time. So let me end with this, the final quote, which is a quote by Sun Tzu. A wise man learns from his own mistakes, but a genius learns from the mistakes of others. That would be my final quote. There's no such thing as failure, friends.
Yeah, that's dope. For people that are listening to this and they want to follow along with you, support you, maybe reach out, coaching, listen to the book or read the book, where can people do that?
MarkCrandall.net. It's my website. I mean, my podcast is up there, which you're coming on. I can't wait to have you on mine. This can be good. And they can get I have a bunch of videos on there. I have a free 7-day creating an unstoppable mindset challenge that anyone can get in without giving credit card information. So, and I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
I'm going to be around as long as I'm breathing. So.
Yeah, dope, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time. I think you're doing something real in this space amidst a lot of people that aren't. So I appreciate that.
I appreciate you having me, man. This has been one of I've felt more at peace and at ease in this conversation than any other podcast interview I've ever done.
Great. Love to hear that. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to Lionheart Radio. I hope that the information from today's show will make you fitter, happier, and healthier. For the show notes of this episode and every episode, head to www.lionheartrad.io. Yep, just like Lionheart Radio. And please, if you have the time, head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. It really helps us to know that we're on the right track in delivering you reliable information and value. As always, feedback is welcome. If you have any comments on the show or would like to suggest a guest, send me an email at rick@luavive.com. That's LUAVIVE.com. Thanks for your support, and we will see you next time.
Bitch, I feel good. Don't I look stupendous? My shine is so endless, and shit you can do to end this. Even when I'm dead, niggas still gon' bump that chip shit. Coke, white, Escalade on cinches for you dipshit. So you won't forget this. Midwest nigga be the coldest. Cleveland is